I would like to share what I do these last 10 years with my students. So I have a lot of students. I teach with 500 students, but in this case, groups are groups of 80 students. So they are in bachelor, level 3 in bachelor. And usually I work like this. So I was a normal teacher during 25 years. So I like it, no problem. To make a lecture, to transmit knowledge, there's no problem for me. But, and you see that some of our students are sleeping, but others are really interesting. I was like him. I like academic teaching, so I have no problem with the lecture. But the situation is the following. When you teach like this, you ask to your student to listen in the classroom, to be very attentive, to ask questions, and they need to work at home, because you need to work a lot at home if you want to pass the exams. So I imagine to transform, it was 10 years ago, I imagined to transform my pedagogy, because I had too much students who are consumers. So they are waiting the knowledge, and I prefer to have actors, to have more active students. So I imagine an innovative method in order to create interaction between students. But in a session where I need to transmit knowledge, not exercises, because they have a lot of exercise, they are working in laboratories, so they don't need that to be interactive. But during the lecture, they are passive. So I imagine methodologies, but different from the flipped classroom. You know the flipped classroom? You give the document to the student, you ask them to work at home or in library, but as soon as they are in the classroom, you can do some exercises. But it doesn't work a lot, because you know that if students are not able to work in the classroom, they are not able to work at home. Or the flipped classroom sometimes works for students who are adapted to classical methods. So I prefer to adopt another method. And my method is very strange, because I'm a very strange professor. I say to my student, the best way to learn is to teach. So teach me genetics. So if you see my classroom, it's a very strange classroom. I have 80 professors. So there is 80 professors to do the lectures, and only one student. At the beginning, the students say, it's not possible because you are the expert. We are students. I say, of course, I'm the expert, but you are 80 people connected, and you can imagine a professor with 80 brains. Incredible. And only one student in the classroom, and the best student, because I do genetics for 30 years. So you can check your lectures on your best student, and I am the best student. So we organize the classroom in this kind. We have some teams. So I have 12 teams in my class with 6 students. 6 is the magic number if you want to work with students in group. But 6 is not enough. You have to make a casting. So the students say, it's interesting, the method, but we would like to choose the people, because we like to work in groups, but we only like to work with friends or other students who have exactly the same methods. And I answer, good luck for your future job, because you know that you need to work with different people, and you need to work with methods. So, as you can see on this drawing, all the drawings are original and made by my friend in the classroom. So we did it together. And you see that in a team, I mixed different profile of students. So male, female, students with high level in academic marks, students with problems. So it's important to mix. For the production of the chapters, because I forgot to explain that in my classroom, students must write the lectures. They must build the chapters. I only give the title of the chapters. For example, a chapter, the title is replication. Another is mutation. Another is vaccination. So they can imagine the plan of the chapters. They have to find information, because I give them nothing. no document, nothing. I'm like this in the lecture. So they need to find information on the web, on the new digital library we have, and also on books. They use books for the first time because in France, very few students use books, but in my classroom, it's not the case. So they need to write the chapters, they need to teach the lectures, and they need to build questions for the exam. So the exam at the end is organized by students. I do nothing, in fact. I'm just a student. So in reality, I have a lot of work because to do that, we need to have an organization. And the organization I will show you in some slides come from the design thinking methodology. So 10 years ago, we tried to discover the co-design methods, how it's possible to mobilize collective intelligence, and it's not possible to leave the student like this in group and say, do it yourself. The first year of my method, the name of my method was the do-it-yourself classroom. And after a lot of people say, but it's a flipped classroom. No, it's not a flipped classroom because there's no document. Students must be creative. But there's some limits to creativity because, you know, the structure of a DNA molecule, you cannot imagine another structure. But it's more easy for them to find information. And they need to look on some website, for example, and they need to be very criticized. They need to choose good information, fake news. It's important. And when they write the chapter, they need to give the references, like researchers, in fact. So I give them the title. For example, imagine you've 6 people, you are in the same team. I say could you explain me the transcriptional replication or the modification of DNA or how a protein is glycosylated? So I ask some questions because I'm the student. Since I'm a student, I have a lot of questions to my professors. So I ask students, I ask questions, and they try to organize the chapters. So some groups are well organized, other groups have some problems, so I can help them. But my classroom is like a small company. So the doors are open, there's a lot of tables, students work by team, and for the production, that's because I organize the casting, because with the casting, I'm sure that the production of all teams are in the same time. Because if you leave your students in group to organize by themselves, friends, other group, you observe that some groups are really speed, others are very low, and you need to go from a team to another. It's a lot of work. So for the production, the teams are my teams with the casting. But for other exercises, it's possible for them to imagine different groups. So if I ask them to produce question or to challenge group or to have some reaction, whatever the group, it's the same. It's not necessary to use the same team. At the beginning, I explained to my student why I do that. I do that to increase the collaboration, and I say that you can. I give you methods, but you can change the method if you want. So they understand that I will help them to work, but if a group is not agree with the methods, for example, I propose some exercises at the beginning of the session, and if a group is not comfortable with the method, it's possible for the group to change the method. What is important is the task, the objective. So if I ask a question, if I say, could you explain me this phenomenon? One group can use a drawing, other tables, other explanation, whatever. So all my students are connected. They use computers, they use iPads, and they use smartphones. So the technology, and we have computers in the lab for some students who prefer to work with our own material. So the students are connected. I do this classroom in face-to-face, and now for these last 3 years, there's an hybridization, because a part of the classroom is organized at distance. We use Teams, we use Zoom, we use Moodle, the Moodle platform, so for producing the content. And to write the chapters, they use a collaborative platform, Google Drive, for example, or another. And the rules are the following. You have to write the chapters. Copy fast is allowed. It's very important. You can copy paste, but an intelligent copy paste, a smart copy paste. That means that as soon as you collect information, and if you are able to understand this information, so you can put it, copy and paste on the chapters. And so my students write lots of some pages with illustration linked to movies. But if a group imagine to copy paste a large quantity of information without understanding it, other groups are able to underline. So as soon as the copy paste is not comprehensive by other people, the other student underline. So if you imagine for a group to save some time because you copy paste 2 pages and another group underline all the pages, you need to start again. So what is important is to write chapter 6. I have 12 teams and 6 chapters. So I have two teams by chapter. At the beginning, team 1 build chapter 1, team 2 build chapter 2. But after 2 or 3 weeks, we move. So the chapters are moving from a team to another to complete the work. And it's possible for a student in a team to build the chapters, to read other chapters, and to correct. So we have different, in each session, we have different steps. Production, lecture, correction, reaction, and they can do that in the classroom, but also at home when they are connected. So here you can see my students. So only some students, because in this room we imagine I have this year 75 students, and this is the production phase. So the session are 2 hours session. It starts at 8, finish at 10. There is no break. The student can organize by themselves. It's a company. So I'm not a teacher, I'm the CEO of the company, and I try to see the production, to control the production of the knowledge, because they have to produce the knowledge. And here on these pictures, you see not a production, but a challenge. So it's possible for students to go from a team to another team. I forgot to say some things. During the casting, I do some things. All frames are separated. So I don't know the students, but I work with my colleagues, and she knows the students because she had these students 1 year before. And we organize the team together, and I ask her to separate friends. So each student has his best friends in other group. So the connection between group is perfect. Because for them it's very easy they don't need to start 2 hours in the group. It's possible for them to go to help others. What is important for a student is to help other students. You know Salman Khan, the inventor of the Khan Academy, one of the first MOOC in his book, say that the skill number 1, which is weight by company, so company want skill number 1 for collaborators. This is the abilities for people to help another people. So we know that if students are able to help students in the classroom, tomorrow these people will be colleagues able to help other colleagues. So I have a lot of exercises, a big toolbox. It's possible to find this toolbox on the web, sorry in French, but sometimes in English. And this is one exercise. This exercise is rolling boards. Very, very effective. You can try it. So, for example, I am the only student, you know, so sometimes I have questions. But to choose a question, I read the production, and if I see that some very important elements are not in the chapter, sometimes I see, oh, in these chapters, the students forgot to explain this kind of phenomenon, I ask the question. So I use 15 minutes for this exercise. So I say that, could you explain me, for example, could you explain me the replication of a DNA molecule in a bacteria? I don't understand how bacteria is able from one chromosome to produce two chromosomes. And I say that each team in front of a board. And they are connected, they have 10 minutes. I say you have 10 minutes. So they try to draw the chromosomes, they use computers, but after 3 minutes, I say stop, turn. So the team 1 is in front of the board number 2. The team 2 is in front of the board number 3. And I say, yeah, you can continue. You can continue to answer to the same question, but by using the production of the previous group. And 3 minutes after, hop, another lap. So 3 minutes, that means about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I obtain 12 boards with the same explanation. Of course, it's possible to do the same exercise with different questions. But in this case, one question. And I asked to my student, where is the best board? So we imagine the board number 5, it's the best one. So we are all around the board number 5. And I say, oh, it's okay, no problem. This is a mistake, and you forgot to do some things. 5 minutes. So in 15 minutes, all students are able to understand a question because they co-build the answer to the same question. It's a very effective, and we do that online. I will show you online. It's possible to do by using Zoom, for example. I make some group. I ask a question. Students have some minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and they're able to share a PowerPoint slide, for example. In this case, you see my student in action. You know that some of them use Blackboard, others use computers, and others use pen and paper. So it's their own device, so as they prefer. And sometimes during the 2 hours, students are able to present results. But we have no time to present all the chapters. So for the presentation, they're a very short presentation, 5 minutes. We focus on very important elements. In this case, these 2 students were explaining replication of a bacterial chromosome. There was real student, real Blackboard. And we have different possibilities. The first possibility is one group on the board explaining to all the classroom, or we can, like this, organize forums. So in this case, I have 12 boards, and one student remains in front of the board, and the 5 other students go to 5 different boards. It's possible to ask the student to choose. So sometimes I ask, you have to separate and to discover different boards with different questions, but other times I say that, okay, you can go where you want. If you know the answer to this question, it's not necessary to remember. If you don't know the answer of the question number 3, you can go. And they explain by themselves. Of course, they made some mistakes, but it's not important because the level of mistake, so the level of mistakes in the chapter or in their explanation is less than 15%, 20%, 15%. It's not important. What is important for me is to control a very important mistake. So I control the fundamental part of the group, but I don't correct the production. I only correct what is really important in the production. And because the students found information on web with references, these last 10 years, you see, the production of the group are really, really good. And the production is different from a year to another year. There's no copy from a year to another year because students prefer to do their own work and not to copy-paste the production of their colleague from the previous year. So, you know, I'm sure that if you are a teacher, it's very easy to ask the students to work together. So you can organize your classroom in groups and say that you have 20 minutes or at home to do a work and after a presentation. But you know, the presentation is a problem. Because if you have 10 groups and if you need to organize 10 presentations, 10 presentations of 5 minutes, for example, all the students are listen the first one, attentive a little to the second one, and after the third one, their attention is decreasing because some students, the work is finished for them, and for other students, they try to perfect the presentation. So I imagine different way of talking. And I gave some different names. This first method is a karaoke method. They don't have to sing, but the principle it's come from the karaoke. In karaoke, you sing a song for your favorite singer. So the song of your singer is on the TV, and you try to do better. So I asked to my student to prepare a presentation, a one-slide presentation. So I said that, could you explain me these things with only one slide? And we project the slide. For example, we project the slide of the team number 1. But I take a student from the team number 2, on number 3, and he discovers the slide just in live. So the student from the team 2 is in front of the production of the team 1, and he has 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes maximum to explain what he understands to all the other students. So he said, on this slide, you can see that thing, I think I understand. So his reaction. After 1 minute, 1.5, I ask to the group who produced the slide to correct. It's correct for you? Do you agree? So 1 minute, 1.5 to present, 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to correct, to complete, if it's necessary. And after I ask to all the other students, do you have some questions? And they have questions. And we observe a communication because they have a lot of questions. They didn't understand some things, other things. And if they have no question, I have questions because I'm the only student. So when I organize karaoke, it's like a discussion of 15 minutes. So we have discussion, and during this discussion, they are listen to my explanation. Because during this discussion is a very good moment for me to introduce some very important element of the lecture, of the program. This one is my favorite one. His name is a ping pong. I take the presentation of for example, team number 5, okay, number 5, slide number 5, and I ask to 2 students from the team, number 5, to be in front of the slide and to explain to other students what they imagine. But they only have, they need to explain in one sentence. One sentence by student. One sentence, and after another one. One sentence, like a ping pong, like the ball between 2 players. So, for example, the first student say, on this slide, you can see a coronavirus with a protein at the surface. The second student say, on this slide, you can see on the right part of the slide, a human cells with receptors. Another sentence. The molecule you see at the surface is able to link to the etc., etc. So they have to be very attentive. And the other students have to ask questions. So the ping pong is a very effective method. Another method is a PowerPoint without presentation. So students project the result of their work, but there is no explanation, nothing, during 2 minutes. And during 2 minutes, other students try to understand. What is these mechanisms? They try to understand. And they have 2 minutes to organize by themselves and to prepare questions. So you see, one student say, in my group, we have 2 questions and 1 reaction, etc., etc. So we have a very interactive communication between groups, but also between students and professors. And this one is very effective too, that is, try to find the mistake. It's like a gamification. And I use it. I do it by myself. And sometimes when I have good students with high level, I ask them to do that. It's a 10 minutes presentation. 10 minutes. And I explain to my student, during these 10 minutes, I will explain you very important things. So to be able to pass the exam, you need to know what I explain you in 10 minutes. But during these 10 minutes, I will make 2 mistakes, 2 fail. With that solution, you have to find it. But if I find this mistake in your copy in the exam, you have 0. No correction. So they say, oh, it's not possible. Oh, it's possible because you are 80 people, you are 70 people, and you are able with 70 people to find the mistake. And so I explained that during 10 minutes. And my colleague June, who is here, she works with me. She's in a PhD program. She's in the classroom and she observes the students. And she said that during this kind of exercises, you have 100% of attention. And if a student, just 2 minutes, wants to send a message to his friend, it's possible because he uses a smartphone to send a message, but as soon as the message is sent, after 1 minute, he's in the exercise. So it's not a problem for me if a student go outside, doors are open, so they can go outside, they can do whatever they want. I forgot to say that I give marks. I will show you at the end of the presentation the evaluation of the method. I give marks. But I give the same marks for all the people. So if I have a team of 6 students, and if I give good marks for all the people, even if one of them do nothing. They need to organize. Sometimes they answer me, it's not, you cannot do that, because I don't accept that one people in the group do nothing. Oh, do it, organize by yourself. Because tomorrow in a company, in institution, you will work for other people. No, you need to organize with collaborators, so try to do that now. So, students build the chapters, students correct the chapters, students action them online, in the classroom, and they prepare questions. In one semester, we prepare about 100 questions, 100. And I put colors on this question. Red question, blue, dark, green ones, and with some signification. For example, red question, when I receive for my student very high-level question, they are a red question, because only 5% of my students are able to answer to this question. So this question, these red questions are never present in the exam. But blue and dark one have a large probability to be present to students during the exam. And green question, that's my own question. Because if I see that some very important topics are not in the program, I ask my own question. And green questions are always in the exam. So they know the different level. We have a classification of questions. And they put the question on the classroom, but also online. By using Moodle, they produce individual questions and group questions. And we make some classification, and sometimes some cluster of questions. And we have to vote. So I asked to my students, for example, you have 3 days. You have 3 days to give me one question by team. And sometimes you have 2 or 3 days to give me one question by student. But it's important to never ask a question already done. So if students decide to work immediately, it's very easy. But if students like procrastinate, you need to read all the questions of all the students, all the group, before being able to ask a new question. So it's important that in the organization. And we vote online. So, for example, if I have a lecture tomorrow morning, this evening, I go on the website and I see the result of the vote. And I decide to explain only questions with a high level of vote. And because you remember, I'm the only student, and my students produce a lot of questions, so they ask me to answer. They are teachers, I'm students, so they give me 100 questions. I have no time to answer to all questions. So I say, give me a lot of questions, but with different votes. And I will answer the high-level questions, or questions with the high number of votes. And they like it, because when I try to do some things, they know that they have the power. They have the power, the choice of questions. And if questions are very simple, I say, no answer for me. For example, could you explain me the structure of this promoter on the gene? I say, It's not necessary to explain. You have it on the illustration. So very simple questions are never treated in classroom. Only question with a medium level or high level. And during this time, because I'm a student, I have 10 minutes sometimes, 15 minutes, never more than 15 minutes, because 15 minutes is the maximum of attention of student in a classroom, 15 minutes, on face-to-face. Online, it's not 15 minutes. Online, it's only 3 minutes. To play, to communicate, to Netflix, they're able to stay some hours, but not to work. To work, so the questions, when I work online, I will show you a short video. When I work online, all the time is shorter. So I have some time, I have 10 minutes to explain what I do, and I answer to the question. You know, during the pandemic, the pandemic, it was really difficult for me to cross from a face-to-face work in groups to individual works when all my students and myself were at home. So it was important for me to not leave the student alone. So on this drawing, you can see a student which is lost at home, but it could be the same for a professor. Because it's a student, but it's also a professor. Some teachers were had difficulties to work at home, and students too. What I observe, because we have a laboratory, we have an innovation laboratory in my university, and we are involved in this laboratory because we created, and we observe that it's important, specifically when you work at distance, if you imagine to have do-it-yourself work, in do-it-yourself, student could be alone. So we organize do-it with other works. And the works at distance is organized by team. And the result is the following. Students at distance like to work in groups, sometimes alone, of course, but never at what % alone. So it's important to be sure that if you propose to your student some works at home by using some platform like Zoom, Teams, you can ask to your student to work by teams because you have the teams, but you can ask to your student to work by small groups. Teams and groups are different things, but with with other methods, you obtain more results, and students are more engaged, the motivation. And June, again, his PhD program is focused on the collaborative work, and she measures the level of motivation and engagement of students in collaborative work. So I say that in online, you need to control the time. So exercise you have in the classroom, you can do online, but with shorter time. So all my exercise in classroom with success of 20 minutes, I do online 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If there's a replication, if you do online exactly the same things, you need to control the time. Because if you online, you do exactly the same exercise with the same times, you have a decrease of the quality of the production of what you do. And I say that I am the only student, so I have no copy to correct because I'm a student, and I have a lot of professors, but I have homework. You know, students prepare questions, and they say, you're the student, you have homework, so you need to work at home. So when I'm at home, it's possible, incredible, it's possible for my student to control in live if I work at home. So I say that, okay, this evening or tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, at 6 p.m. until 6:30, I will work at home. And you can control it in live. I give them a link on Zoom, so you can see they are the link. And I have a very short camera. I use a short camera, a pen, a piece of paper, and they say that you have to do this kind of exercise. So they give me exercise. And I'm at home, and I work, and students are connected. Not all students, but at least half of the students are connected. And I speak alone. like a crazy man. I speak, I try. In here you can see a molecule of DNA, and in some seconds, messenger RNA, mRNA is produced. Okay. And they can ask me questions because they control that the only student is working at home, but they can say, we cannot understand. So there's a dialogue between us. I do my homework, but in contact with all my teachers. And this production is recorded. So it's possible for all the students to watch again what I do. And even if some students were unable to assist in live to my work, it's possible for them to watch the video. So I have a lot of video of my homework, and I use, for example, I do that in 10 years, and this kind of exercise only 3 years, because of the pandemic, because of the coronavirus. So my students like to have time at home to watch. And it's not necessary for them to watch all the video, short video, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Students who attend in live can try to find a part of the video where there's some problem, but other students have to watch all the video. And to finish the evaluation. In evaluation, the first year, I use exactly the same system of the university. I give points. So from 0 to 9, to 19, to 90, from 0 to 90, and the average at 10. But I think that this method is not good, so I prefer to invent a new method. So I create like a Bitcoin in genetics. It's my own money. And I use points. So I use point, and with the point, we have scores. So in fact, yes, because the first year, 10 years ago, when I present my methods, I say, you do all the things, I do nothing. And one student say, who will be paid? Because if we do all the job. I say, okay, I will pay you. And so I pay my student, they have a salary, so the points by groups are salary, and there's some individual bonus. So as soon as a production is good in quantity or quality in the chapters, I give points. For example, 20 points, 25, 30, 40, I have no limits. I'm rich, I have no limit. So students say that if the quality of the work is good, they will have a lot of points by group. And it's possible to have individual points, because if they react online, for example on Moodle, if I ask question, I can give points in function of the level of the question. So if questions are really interesting, so a lot of points. If questions are too simple, for example, what is the role of DNA? No, 1 point. But other question, could you give me 2 common points and 2 differences between RNA polymerase in bacteria and DNA polymerase in eukaryotic cells? Good question. So 5 points, 10 points. So at the end of the chapters, you see my 12 teams. You can observe that there's some differences in the scores. If students want to know the scores, it's possible to send me a mail, and I give the scores. The salary in my company is not secret, so you can have the scores. You see that in one team, for example, if you see the team number 4 from left to right, one student at the end of the semester have 110 points, another one 63. So they know that by group it's possible to have a lot of points, individually some points. So at the beginning of a session, for example, tomorrow morning, if I have 2 students with more or less the same number of points, 50 and 55, the student with 50 can go to 100, and student with 55 can go to 60. So they know that each session it's possible for them to have a lot of points. So they are really motivated. Because when I gave marks with a limitation of 20 points, they know that if their level is 12, for example, the level remains at 12. So this is the points. After, of course, I transform these points into notes into marks, because my administration doesn't accept my money. So I need to change. But the problem is with the clandestine passenger. Because in a group you have students who say that, okay, a lot of points from the team, I have nothing to do. But to control if there is some clandestine passenger, I use an auto-evaluation test, come from business school. I transform it. This test is a 180 degrees test, very, very, very effective, but I transform it in order to adapt it to my student. And students are able to make an auto-evaluation. So you see the result of the test, the 12 team, and students are able to auto-evaluate their work with 5 criteria, and they are able to try to evaluate the contribution of other students in the same team. And you see that in the team number 2, from the left, they are all the same score. It's impossible to have the same score. So I think that they work together, they discuss together to have the same score. But they say that we work all at the same level. And in other team, you see, for example, team number 4, or the last one, you have students who are considered by others like more contributors, and others like less contributors. And so you understand, after I make some comparison between my opinion and their opinion. And more or less, I have 10% of clandestine passengers. So if I have 80 students, I have 7, 8 clandestine passengers. It's very easy for me to detect them. I don't need a test, in fact. I just have to see my student. Online is different, because online it's difficult to see who is more contributor compared to another. So you see the passenger, there's a correlation. The correlation is more than 89%. But sometimes, if you see the last one on the right, he obtained 86 points. So for me, in my opinion, his contribution is the same like other people, other students. But for the student, you see, the opinion of the student is that his contribution is lower. So I didn't see it. So it's important to do the two things, the two approaches, because you need to trust your student, but the student need to trust you. So it's like a deal between us. My method is different. Trust me, I have some control. And for the evaluation, I do the same. To be innovative in evaluation is very difficult, because evaluation is not the same for you or for students. For you, for teachers, evaluation is a method of control. You control you control the learning process. Control. But for the student, evaluation, this is the goal. They work for notes, for marks. And so if you want to be innovative in evaluation, and if you change the rule, you can explain to your student that your evaluation is the best way to control, but if there's some consequence to the results, for them, they prefer bad methods. They prefer the method that give them high level. So at the end of each session, and I do that for 10 years, at the end of each session, each 2 hours session, there is an evaluation. And students cannot leave the room without this evaluation. It's a 2-3 minutes evaluation. They need to make 2 points. First point, positive point. What were the best moments of the session? Because they learn, they need to explain what was the best time in the session. For example, they say, I would like so much exercise number 3 because with the table I was able to do that. They need to explain in 1 sentence, maximum 2. And in the same times, they need to write what was the worst moment. For example, you can say, karaoke, it's not good for me, I prefer, so I don't like to work like this. The exercise number 3 was very interesting, but we have no time to finish it. So at the end of each session, I obtain 80 positive points and 80 negative points. It's important. They need to give a positive point and a negative point, too. So it's obligatory. And with positive points, I do nothing. I'm happy, I say it's okay for you. But with negative points, I use these negative points to transform and to change the methods. So if you want to innovate, innovation is not like creativity. Creativity is to have an idea. So I imagine the reverse classroom. Okay, it's creative. But innovation, it's when ideas is in the hands of users. So there is no innovation without users. And my students are users. And you need to have a regular feedback with users if you want to perform, to be more performed in evaluation. So if you need to stop academic teaching, imagine, you need to stop academic teaching and you need to use my method, it's not innovation. You change the method.